Hey, true believers, Chris Mack, coming at you with something a little different today. This is one of my favorite mangas that I've been reading for a few years now. It's finally up to volume 11, and I didn't even know that this released January of last year. I got volume 10, read it, and I'm just like, when is the next volume coming out? And I just happened to make a post about it on one of the Facebook pages, and someone said, hey, it's already out. So I jumped on Amazon and I grabbed this in a quick minute. And so far, it is awesome. I'm kind of splitting this up. We're not going to go through the whole thing because it's sort of bigger than a collected trade, such as what manga is. But yeah, this is so good. I've talked to some people and they've never heard of Black Lagoon, so I thought that it was worth going over. But before we do, I do want to say, as the book says, parental advisory, explicit content. I'm not kidding. It gets pretty rough. So with that said, this book, I believe, is written and illustrated by Rei Hiroi. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. Now, when we get up to volume 11, where we currently are, which I have to hold that down, it's an accumulation of all the books that have come before. So I don't want to. I'm gonna not try to bog you down with too much of the backstory, but I do want to kind of read this right here. Don't worry about the characters, because these characters, even though they're all awesome, there's only 2 of the 4. But this is the part of the Lagoon Trading Company. There's Benny, Dutch, Revy, and Rock, and we're focusing on these 2. These 2 have yet to show up. We're focusing mostly on a girl named Fang. Now, the story: Rock, aka Oroku Okajima, a Japanese salaryman, or as they say in the anime, a Japanese businessman, is abducted by a band of smugglers while on a business trip in Southeast Asia. Abandoned by his company, he takes on the name Rock and finds a new job in the shady smuggling trade. That is kind of the premise of the first couple of mangas, and how Rock joined the Lagoon Trading Company. And then here it says, after Roberta's second visit to Aranapur ended in a bitter disaster, Fang, a Chinese spy, attempted to infiltrate Jane's organization. When Fang's plans backfired, she found herself on the run from the Chinese government. Rock and Revy end up helping her, but their involvement leads to some unquestionable questions of royalty. So Jane was a kind of a counterfeit smuggler. She ends up getting in a relationship with Benny here, but that's a whole another thing. But like I said, most of this, what we're going to be going over, focuses on Rock and Fang. However, you open it up, this is called the Wired Red Wild Card. Try to say that 3 times fast. And right here, story and art by Rei Hiroi. And that's another thing. I've been reading manga for a while now, but I remember when I first started, I had to get used to reading that instead of left to right, I had to get used to reading right to left. And still, I catch myself sometimes when I'll be reading, I tend to want to go this way when you have to be going this way. And of course, we're reading, as you can see, how the books are flipping out this way instead of that way. It's sometimes your brain just has to stop and go and go in reverse. So anyway, all these hired assassins are going after Fang because she made the Chinese government look bad. And she's trying to burn all the data that she has so that she doesn't get caught. And Revy here, she is a hothead. She's a Chinese American who came to the South Asian Sea, to this place of Rowanapur, where a lot of the characters aptly call it the bar at the end of the world. I was kind of looking over some stuff, and they were saying that Rei Hiroi was inspired by Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, a lot of the old spaghetti westerns, and in Stephen King, because there's one series in here, or arc, where they focus on these 2 twins, and it's like kind of vampiric, and it's terrifying. So you can see a lot of the what do you call it? a lot of the inspirations from that, but it just makes for such a great story, and in a way very unconventional manga, as where, you know, if you say you read something like One Piece or Full Metal Alchemist, this is like a complete 180. So one of the guys comes in ready to take out Fang, and one thing I've always enjoyed about manga and anime is the way that they pace it. So this cowboy comes in, just acting kind of nonchalant, very kind of Clint Eastwood style. He goes for his gun, and now Revy, she's sort of, they call her two-hand because she knows how to shoot, and she can always catch and pick up on noises like this guy going for his gun, which leads into kind of almost like a duel. He goes to pull, she draws, and as you can see, no dialogue other than the onomatopoeias, you know, the click, click, clack of all the guns and whatnot. And another thing that I've always enjoyed about mangas too is traditionally they're black and white, and it just kind of adds, I don't know how to explain it other than that, but after the shooting starts, there's a whole lot of trash talking. I don't want to repeat some of the stuff that's in here, so if you guys want to, you can pause it and kind of read and be like, whoa. So I'll leave it at that. And the voice actress, I've never heard Black Lagoon in the original Japanese translation, but the American voice actress for Revy, she just catches it spot on. I highly recommend you guys check it out, because when you hear her voice on the show and then you come back and start reading the mangas, you're like, yeah, that's a Revy, all right. And then what I love too is I'm sure they couldn't get away with it for copyright reasons, but in the first couple of mangas, Revy is on the Lagoon, which is their boat, and there's a whole bunch of like other ships trying to take them out because there was a hit put on the group, and Revy single-handedly takes out like 7 boats, and she's doing it with just like a little grenade launcher and her headset, and while she's jumping the ships, she's listening to White Zombie. In the book, they changed it for the anime, obviously. I'm pretty sure because they couldn't get the copyright for it, but I thought that was pretty awesome way to give an homage to some awesome heavy metal. And as you can see, just the action, firing. And then another thing with how I was talking about the pacing is as quick as it starts, there's a moment where it stops. So like Fang's trying to get all the data off the CD that she was burning, and they think that Revy is distracting this guy, and when she goes to grab it, the cowboy slinger here, which you still have not seen his face, shoots it, and he's basically saying, you stay put, honey, I'll get you in a second. But before he can think, like, Revy catches his attention again, and then Rock, even though he's part of the Lagoon Company now, you know, he's still kind of the odd man out, because he still tries, in a sense, to live in 2 worlds, as were Revy, Dutch, everybody that's been in Roanapur for a while now. They've kind of given up any scruples. They just go with it. Rock, he still has his reserves. You know, he's basically a man with his feet in 2 worlds. And a lot of times it can bite him in the butt. Sometimes it's an asset, hence why Dutch hired him, because in his business he used to, what am I thinking? He used to run numbers, and so in doing so, he's able to analyze situations the way that the group doesn't see. But going back to the story here, the disc that Fang needs gets destroyed, so Rock just makes a mad dash with the PC, and I'm just like, oh my god. And so a whole bunch of explosions happen here. And another thing about Roanapur is, even though there's like a shootout or a murder, the police will say, I don't care what you do, as long as you don't do it where I have to do a whole bunch of paperwork. As long as it's in private, you can hide the apple for all I care. So you can just see how corrupt this city is. Now, as the action ends, I don't want to spoil the whole thing. They rendezvous at this, I can't remember the name of it, oh, the pages turned on me. That's the problem with doing these books, because they're so heavy. And, you know, I try to use as weights to hold the book shut, but as you can see, I fail. I need to get another tripod. Feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. But anyway, they meet up at this strip joint. And like, what took you so long, Rock? And so you have, you know, him carrying in this hard drive, and then you have all these strippers carrying him in. And it's just sort of laughable to a degree. But Fang's just like, did you run here carrying that thing? I mean, the whole PC? And like, what was I supposed to do? I don't know what a hard drive looks like. So even though he's a smart business analyst, you know, he's not the IT guy here. So I'm kind of glad that I am, because I do know what a hard drive looks like. So at this point, after all the action, the police do take Revy and the redneck in. And she even goes, hey, if you guys take my guns, I'm going to find you and kill you. He's like, I need a lawyer. Move it, piggy. Do I look like the phone company? Try contacting them through sheer will. So, what are we going to do about poor old Revy? Because this is the first time that she's actually been, like, arrested. Like, her and Rock had an outburst in an older issue, but she had to go down and, file some paperwork, and they let her go. So, actually seeing her in a cell like this is sort of like, well, that's interesting. And so we get a quieter moment. Again, that's another thing I like about manga, is they do action, but then you kind of get these quiet moments that can add some levity or some drama to it. So in this, it's kind of comedic, but it shows that these two, in a sense, are not that different in terms of growing up hood rat and whatnot. So she keeps calling him, you know, redneck, I can smell your skunky ass from here. And he's like, roof. And he's just kind of taking it on the chin. He's like, whatever. And there was something I wanted to talk about here. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, I don't remember where it went. But I'll get back to it, because sometimes, you know, they'll do cutaways while people are talking, and mangas, like, you know, they do this overhead shot of this police officer, and it's just like, why? And sometimes it just kind of helps set the scene. Sometimes it adds the drama, which we will talk about here in a second. So we're going to go ahead and skip over Revy, and I want to get back to Fang and Rock, because here, you know, she's doing her work. And what I like is all of a sudden she just goes, we each have our own world within ourselves. And here's what I was talking about, where it kind of starts doing the cutaways, where we start seeing, like, you know, the stripper dresses. And Rock's like, what are you talking about? That thing you told me the other day about the ex-assassin maid and the Venezuelan boy. Oh, that. We're going there again? Tonight's the perfect time to speak from the heart. Now, again, this goes way back. There was this woman named Roberta. And the first time we meet her, her young master, because she is a maid for a very rich Venezuelan family, the son is kidnapped. So she comes to Roanapur looking for him. And everyone thinks she's a joke because she's dressed like an actual old school maid. But she tears apart Roanapur through guns and blood and fire to find this boy. And everyone finds out that she was ex-military, like highly trained. I can't remember for who. I don't remember if it was for the Venezuelan army or something like that. But you find out that she's a force to be reckoned with. Like, she even to the point almost kills Revy. She comes back a while later because the Venezuelan boy's father, her main master, whom she was very loyal to for reasons, if you want to know, read the book. He gets murdered in a military coup. Again, she returns to Roanapur, seeking vengeance, looking for the assassins, and again almost burns Roanapur to the ground. And while that's happening, the Venezuelan boy comes to Rock and says, I need your help finding her. Something's wrong with her. And that's a whole another story. They turned it into an anime as well. So if you want to watch it, I believe it's called Roberta's Blood Trail. So this is weighing heavy on Rock because he sees now that this young boy has to take the place of his father. And he's kind of having a crisis again of being a man of two worlds at this point. And Fang actually can see where he's kind of coming from, but she also calls him on his crap. So, she's like, I'm not the one dwelling on it. You are. Let me put it this way. You're a car and I'm driving it. If there's hesitation anywhere in my mind, I know I'll step on the wrong pedal in this death race. I want to dispel that fear. So while she's talking, she's working on her work, so you hear that tap, tap. It adds mood. Again, no dialogue, they just share a moment. He looks away. And so Rock, again, being a man of two worlds, says, I just wanted closure. And so Fang goes on talking about, you're not the hero type. She goes, you wanted the boy to thank you. She goes, there was some kind of resolution. She goes, but you're not a stupid guy that wears a stupid red cape and tights. And she goes, oh, and then he goes, I know, you're not the hero type. And she goes, heart's full of pride, expecting nothing in return. Can you call that normal human behavior? And so after that, this is what I was talking about, how they do cutaways. So she's talking about people like Superman. That's exactly who they're alluding to. She goes, somebody who plays the good, transcendent Samaritan for a single person, single-mindedly without doubt. The nice guy we all imagine. But you're right. If someone like that actually existed, I'd stay as far away from him as I could. Someone like that is a certified nut. So she's basically saying that there's no one really like superheroes that we read, like the Justice League, who really want to do anything out of the goodness of their heart without getting something out of it. And again, as I was just talking about the cutaways, she's showing normal human behavior in this quote-unquote bar at the end of the world, where we see these people going at each other, ready for murder, and anything can happen. And so we kind of get into this sort of semi-existentialism, because she's saying that here in Roanapur, you can literally do whatever you want. Or you can go back to the world that you're from, where you sacrifice freedom for comfort and safety. So she says, it's your choice. She goes, it's the reason you're here at the end of the world. What you and I and a lot of other people in the city wanted are ending up getting. She's saying that if you want everything to be perfect, she says you can analyze everything that you do, but you don't always see the external factors that can screw up a plan. So she says, if you want zero external factors, you need to end your commitment to this world. In other words, the wise thing to do is die. She says yes. So she kind of starts, like I said, she starts putting kind of calling him on the crap about the Venezuelan boy, which I cannot for the life of me remember his name. They just called him the young master. And Revy, of course, always did it sarcastically. But anyway, she goes on and she says, that's the reason that there are no restrictions here in Roanapur. The freedom to live in this wild place. To die on its streets. And have your body eaten by dogs. That's kind of a freedom. It's your choice to make. And again, cutting away, showing the nastiness of Roanapur. But here people can come and do what they want. And even though they're, they take their lives in their own hands in kind of a manifest destiny kind of way. And as much as what they want to do and try to prosper in these, rogue cities, they still have the chance of dying. So again, she says it's your choice. So after all this, like I said, there's a lot of sitting and talking, but it's building up to the second part of the manga, which we will go over. Let me see if I can get a focus for you guys, because this book's like right in the middle, and it's a heavy book that wants to flip open. That's why I always use my little Spider-Man thing here to hold it open. But Rock here, whenever, again, I like the way he's utilized, because he'll act timid and sheepish, but then when someone kind of starts talking to him and starts giving him some other ideas, the analyst in him starts to kick in, and he's always able to make a plan. And so he says, Fang, I've decided to let you take the wheel now that I have. There can be no regrets, no giving up for either of us. You're not getting off now. We're going to keep dancing till the end. So, mangas for me, in a sense, can be like a melodrama, but so can comic books. Just like how, as I was talking in one of my reviews about the comic book men, and they were talking about romances or whatever, and Brian, I believe his name is the more gruff one, he's like, are we still talking comics, or are we talking soapbox operas? And that's what makes good storytelling, is it has a good mixture of drama, action, comedy, romance. And that's kind of what you get with Rock and Revy, because 11 mangas in, and you're like, will they, won't they, will they, won't they? And I think that's going to be something that continues for a while, which is okay. It really adds to the dynamic. You know that they care about one another, because she almost kills herself bodyguarding him in Japan in another story. So yeah, 11 mangas to go through, guys, and I would highly recommend you pick them all up and check out the animes as well. So if you guys have liked this review, we will go through the second half. Like I said, I even put my little stopper where I wanted to stop on this review. And if you have enjoyed this manga, I would say, first and foremost, if your comic shop does have mangas, to support them. If not, then go where they are available. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Lagoon button next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love hearing your feedback and talking with y'all down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.